Writing is manual labor of the mind, a job like laying bricks. That's Don Winslow, and if you think writing crime fiction is about waiting for inspiration, you're already losing. Today I'm breaking down one of the best crime writers working, and what his approach to authenticity, corruption, and damaged characters can teach us about writing thrillers that matter. Hey everyone, welcome back to Fireside Writer, TJ Stecker, crime fiction author. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Don Winslow, if you haven't read the Power of the Dog trilogy, or The Force, you're missing out on some of the most visceral, authentic crime fiction ever written. Winslow writes about corruption, institutional rot, and characters who make impossible choices. And as someone who writes about military conspiracies and small-town corruption, I've learned a hell of a lot from his work. So let's break down what makes Winslow great, and how his approach influences my own writing. Don Winslow came up the hard way. He worked as a private investigator, a safari guide in Kenya, and even ran a theater company before he became a full-time writer. That background matters because everything he writes feels authentic, lived in. His breakout novel was The Power of the Dog in 2005, a brutal, epic story about the war on drugs spanning decades. It was followed by The Cartel in 2015 and The Border in 2019. Together, they form one of the most ambitious crime trilogies ever written. Then there's The Force in 2017, a standalone about NYPD corruption that feels like Serpico meets The Shield. It's dirty, it's honest, and it's unflinching. What sets Winslow apart is his commitment to authenticity. He spent years researching the drug war, interviewing DEA agents, journalists, cartel members. He embedded himself in the story, and it shows. When you're reading Winslow, you're not reading some writer's fantasy about crime. You're reading the real thing, filtered through prose that punches you in the gut. That's what I try to do, whether it's military aviation or government corruption. I'm trying to write from experience. I flew anti-submarine missions in the P-3 Orion. I worked in the Pentagon. I know what institutional bureaucracy looks like when it's covering its ass. Winslow taught me that authenticity isn't just a bonus, it's the foundation. Let's talk about The Force, because it's the best entry point into Winslow's work if you haven't read him yet. The protagonist is Danny Malone, a decorated NYPD detective in Manhattan North. He's a hero cop. He's also dirty as hell. He steals from drug dealers, he plants evidence, and runs a crew that operates outside the law. But here's the thing, Winslow makes you understand why. Malone isn't a sociopath. He's trying to do the right thing in a system that's fundamentally broken. He justifies his corruption by telling himself he's taking money away from bad guys to put worse guys away. It's the classic ends justify the means trap, and Winslow shows you exactly how that logic destroys a man from the inside out. The book opens with this line. They call it the Force, the Manhattan North Special Task Force, and it's a squad of plainclothes cops who are supposed to target narcotics and organized crime, but they're outlaws themselves. Right there, you know what kind of story you're in for. No romanticizing, no heroes. Just cops doing terrible things for reasons they've convinced themselves are good. And here's another passage that captures Malone's internal conflict. The job is everything. The job is all you have. You live the job. You breathe the job. And when the job is done with you, it spits you out and moves on. That's the tragedy of The Force. Malone gave everything to the job, and the job doesn't care. It never did. Winslow captures disillusionment perfectly. The moment a character realizes the system they serve was never worth their loyalty. So why does Winslow's writing hit so hard? First, he doesn't flinch. He writes about institutional corruption, police brutality, cartel violence, and government complicity without softening the edges. He's trying to make you see the truth. His prose is efficient, short sentences, direct language, no wasted words. When the tension ramps up, the prose strips down to bare-knuckle pacing. You feel the urgency in the sentence structure itself. And third, he understands moral complexity. His characters aren't good or bad. They're people making choices in a system that's designed to break them. That's real. That's honest. And that's what makes his book resonate long after you finish reading them. In my own work, I try to capture the same moral complexity. Jolene, in The Moth, is trying to hunt a vigilante. But she starts to question whether the vigilante might be doing more good than the law ever did. Winslow taught me that crime fiction doesn't give easy answers. It forces readers to sit with uncomfortable truths. So that's Don Winslow, one of the best crime writers working today. If you haven't read The Force or The Power of the Dog trilogy, do yourself a favor and pick them up. You learn more about writing crime thrillers from Winslow than reading a dozen craft books. And if you want to check out my own work, military conspiracies, family secrets, and small-town corruption, head over to tjstecker.com and sign up for my newsletter. I've got 2 novels out on submission, and I post updates as I go through the process. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment and let me know. Do you read Winslow? What's your favorite book of his? I read every comment. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Now go write something.